Welcome to the Technical Writing Success Podcast. This is episode 147. I'm Fred.
And I'm Daphne.
Thanks for joining us. Today, we're looking at something really practical.
Yeah, we're digging into the tools of the trade. It's based on a great article from our producer, Kurt Robbins.
That's right. It's called 10 Powerful Technical Writing Tools. And Kurt published this on LinkedIn pretty recently, actually, October 29, 2025.
And Kurt kicks things off with a really important point, I think. There's no single best tool out there for everyone. It really depends.
Depends on what, exactly?
Well, things like, how complex is your content? How big is your team? What's your budget look like? And are you documenting software or maybe physical products?
Yeah.
That context, that's what shapes your choices.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's not one size fits all. It's more like a spectrum, right? From like everyday writing aids up to these massive enterprise systems.
Exactly.
So we thought we'd group these 10 tools based on what they primarily do, starting with the essentials, the things for, quality control, collaboration right at the start. Okay, let's unpack this.
First up is Google Docs. Now, Kurt lists it as a collaborative authoring utility, and maybe it's not, strictly a technical documentation tool in the classic sense.
Right, it's not like a specialized XML editor or anything.
No, but he calls it indispensable. And I think the reason is that world-class, real-time collaboration.
Oh, yeah. For first drafts, sure, but maybe even more importantly, for getting reviews from subject matter experts, the SMEs.
That's the killer feature, really. It's simplicity. We all know getting feedback, especially from busy engineers, can be, well, a challenge.
Definitely.
Docs just smooths that whole process out. They click a link, they jump in, use suggestion mode, no special software needed.
Yeah, much better than emailing Word files back and forth, trying to track versions.
Total nightmare. Docs gives you a huge velocity boost right there.
Okay, so you've got your draft, your SME's happy with the substance. Now you need to make sure the writing itself is spotless.
Which brings us to Grammarly, the writing assistant.
And this ties into credibility, right?
Absolutely. As technical writers, our currency is accuracy and clarity. If a user spots errors or gets confused, that trust evaporates. Grammarly is like that extra quality check. It's way beyond a basic spell checker. It's AI-powered, looking for wordiness, passive voice, even inconsistent terminology. That last one can be tricky in long documents.
Yeah, keeping terms straight across hundreds of pages.
It's a vital quality control layer. It just helps polish the prose.
I find it helps me catch those little awkward phrases, before they become actual published problems.
Exactly. It nudges you towards cleaner, clearer instructions, which is absolutely key.
Okay, so the text is clean, but tech writing often involves showing, not just telling. Visuals.
Right, and for that, Kurt points to Snagit for screen captures and adding annotations.
Ah, Snagit. Yeah, I think most of us probably use this. Well, something like it, pretty much daily.
It really is the industry standard for screen capture, isn't it? And for good reason. It does so much more than just, print screen.
Like capturing scrolling windows.
Yeah.
That's super useful for long web pages or menus.
And the OCR capability, grabbing text from an image, that saved me tons of time.
Oh, yeah. Huge time saver.
But the real magic, I think, is in the annotation tools. Adding professional-looking arrows, numbered steps, callouts. It turns a basic screenshot into actual instruction. Makes it easier to follow.
Definitely boosts comprehension. Okay, but what if a static image, even a nicely annotated one from Snagit, isn't quite enough?
Then you move to motion. And Kurt highlights Camtasia, which comes from the same company, TechSmith.
Right, so it's kind of the next step up.
Yeah, exactly. Camtasia is a really solid video editor, but it's specifically built for creating tutorials and instructional videos. You can record your screen, obviously, but then easily add things like zoom and pan effects to focus attention, highlight the cursor, record a voiceover.
It makes creating those how-to videos much more accessible, right? Without needing to learn, like, Adobe Premiere Pro or something.
Precisely. It's user-friendly but powerful enough for most technical communication needs when it comes to video.
Okay, moving on from media creation. Let's talk about connecting the docs directly to the product itself, the code, which means talking about GitHub or GitLab and this whole docs as code idea.
This is a really interesting shift in how some teams work. Docs as code basically means you treat your documentation files, often written in something simple like Markdown, just like source code.
So you store it in the same version control system, like Git
Yeah.
alongside the actual product code.
Exactly. And you use the same workflow.
What's the big advantage there?
Well, it's huge for keeping documentation synchronized with the product. Think about it. Writers use the same pull request and review process as the developers.
Ah, so the docs can't get merged or released until the code changes they describe are also approved. Or maybe the developer reviews the doc changes as part of their code review.
Right. It forces alignment. It pretty much guarantees your docs stay up to date with the code.
That avoids that awful situation where the manual describes features that don't exist anymore.
Or describes them incorrectly. It's probably the best way to achieve that kind of continuous integration for documentation.
But it does mean writers need to get comfortable with developer tools, yeah.
Yeah.
Git, Markdown, maybe the can line.
It can be a learning curve for some, definitely. But the benefits for accuracy and speed can be really significant.
Okay, this seems like a good point to pause for a moment. Let's take a brief break for a special message from our producer, Kurt Robbins.
Hi, this is Kurt Robbins. First, thanks for listening. I truly appreciate your support. I want to let you know that I'm currently accepting new clients. My rates are affordable, and I have more than 25 years of experience working for enterprise companies like Microsoft, Northrop Grumman, Oracle, PNC Bank, FedEx, USAA, and Wells Fargo, among many others. If you want to improve your IT documentation and communications, hire me. I deliver fast, know how to use AI to improve efficiency and accuracy, and love going the extra mile to satisfy my clients. Thank you for subscribing and listening. Back to you, Daphne and Fred.
Welcome back to the Technical Writing Success Podcast. All right, so before the break, we were talking about tools for creating content and integrating it with development. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the platforms where this documentation actually lives, how you host and deliver it.
Okay, where do we start?
Let's start with Confluence. It's an Atlassian product and often called the king of internal wikis. Right, Confluence is everywhere in large organizations, especially common in IT and engineering departments, I find.
Its real power comes from its tight integration with Jira, another Atlassian tool. You can easily link everything, requirements, meeting notes, technical designs, Jira issues, tracking development tasks. It all connects.
So it's more about internal knowledge sharing and collaboration within teams.
Exactly. The source describes it as big, expensive, and powerful for enterprises. It excels as that central hub for internal team knowledge, less about generating polished, public-facing manuals.
Okay, so if Confluence is for internal knowledge, what about customer-facing help centers?
For that, Kurt highlights a different tool, Document 360. This one's specifically built for creating public knowledge bases.
Ah, so a different purpose entirely.
Completely. It's a cloud-based platform, kind of a turnkey solution for building a modern, searchable help site or user guide portal. It gives writers a clean editor. Importantly, it supports Markdown, and the platform itself handles the hosting, search, categorization, all that user-facing stuff.
And Kurt mentioned analytics as a key feature.
Yes. That's crucial for public-facing docs. Document 360 provides robust analytics so you can see what users are actually searching for. And, importantly, are they finding what they need? Or are they hitting dead ends?
Right, that feedback loop is gold. It lets you know where the gaps are in your content.
Exactly. You can continuously improve your help center based on real user behavior.
Okay, so we've covered collaboration, quality, visuals, code integration, and hosting platforms. Now we get into the really specialized heavy-duty authoring systems.
Yeah, the power tools. Let's start with MadCap Flare.
Flare, that's been around a while. It's what people often call HAT, right?
Yeah.
A help authoring tool.
It's a desktop application, and it's really an industry standard for many. Think of it like a specialized desktop publishing suite, but purpose-built for technical docs like online help systems and print manuals.
Why use something complex like Flare? What's the payoff?
Control and reuse. Deep control. Flare is built around topic-based authoring, but its real strength lies in features like variables and conditional content.
Conditional content, meaning you can show different information to different users, but from the same source file.
Precisely. You could write one procedure, tag certain sentences or steps, and then tell Flare, okay, when I publish the PDF for admins, include this bit. When I publish the HTML5 help for regular users, leave it out.
Ah, okay. So one source, multiple outputs tailored to different audiences or formats, PDF, HTML5, etc.
Exactly. It enables true single sourcing, but as Kurt notes, it offers power with a steep learning curve. It takes effort to master.
Right. And taking that single sourcing idea even further, we get to Beligo. which is categorized as a CCMS.
Yes, a component content management system. And this is definitely a step up in terms of complexity and also cost. It's a significant investment.
So what makes a CCMS like Polygo different from a KHAT like Flare?
It's really a different way of thinking about content. Polygo is cloud-based, and it forces you to break everything down into tiny, independent, reusable chunks or components. Think smaller than topics. A single warning message, one step in a procedure, maybe even just a specific phrase or definition.
Like building docs with tiny Lego blocks.
That's a great analogy, actually, and the power comes when you reuse those blocks.
So if you have, say, a safety warning that appears in 50 different manuals,
You update that one warning component in Polygo, and poof, it instantly updates across all 50 manuals where it's used.
wow, okay. I can see that's massive for big companies.
Absolutely. Essential for really large-scale enterprise documentation, managing complex product families, anything with strict regulatory requirements, and especially crucial if you do a lot of translation. Reusing translated components saves enormous amounts of time and money.
Right, because you only translate each block once.
Exactly. The source calls it a significant investment, and it is, but for global companies translating into many languages, the ROI can be huge. But it's a big shift in workflow and requires serious commitment.
Okay, that distinction between a HAT and a CCMS is much clearer now. Powerful desktop tool versus a whole enterprise content management system. All right, last tool on the list. This one's a bit more specialized, aimed at developers, right? Swagger.
Yeah, Swagger is all about API documentation. It's really a set of tools built around something called the Open API specification.
Open API. That's the standard way to describe APIs, correct?
It's the industry standard. So writers or developers use something like the Swagger editor to create or edit this API definition file, usually in YAM or JSON format.
Okay, but what does that do for the documentation?
Well, once you have that definition file, another tool, Swagger UI, can automatically generate really nice-looking standardized documentation from it. But the key thing is, it's interactive.
Interactive, meaning?
Meaning developers reading the documentation can actually try out the API calls directly within the documentation page itself. They can input parameters, hit execute, and see the live response from the API.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just reading about the API, they can actually use it right there.
Exactly. It makes understanding and implementing the API much faster and easier. It bridges that gap between docs and code.
And you mentioned something interesting about how Swagger made it onto Kurt's list.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, Kurt added Swagger to the article after getting some really helpful feedback from a reader named Raghuram Pandurangan.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, it just shows how important API documentation has become and how the landscape is always evolving based on what practitioners need.
Absolutely. Wow, we've really covered a lot of ground here from, basic collaboration with Google Docs and quality checks with Grammarly, all the way up to these complex systems like Polygo for massive reuse and specialized tools like Swagger for APIs. I think the main point from Kurt's article really comes through your strategy, your specific needs. That's what dictates the right tool for the job.
Absolutely. It's about understanding this whole landscape, as the article says, to get smarter than your competition, knowing what's possible. From authoring to visuals to integrating with engineering to managing content at scale.
And looking at that spectrum, from free tools like Google Docs all the way up to the really significant cost of a CCMS like Polygo, it does make you wonder, doesn't it? It leaves us with a question maybe.
What's that?
Well, how often should we, as technical writers or documentation managers, really step back and evaluate? Is the complexity and the cost of our current tool set genuinely justified by our actual needs and scale? Or could simpler, maybe more cost-effective approaches, like that Docs as Code method we talked about, potentially offer better speed, better velocity, a better ROI for our specific situation?
That's a really good question. Something to definitely think about, balancing power with efficiency and cost.
Indeed. Food for thought as you plan your next documentation project or budget cycle. Thank you for listening to the Technical Writing Success Podcast from Kurt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. We'll see you next week.